Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Daisy, your hostess. I want to talk about an article that I recently read. It was titled Human Energy Field, a Concept Analysis, and it was found in the National Library of Medicine, the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And it appears that science is slowly looking into these phenomena and their use in holistic healing. In a book titled Energy Medicine, The Scientific Basis, cellular biologist James Oshman says that in the current era of rapid scientific progress, of all the tales of exploration and discovery that could be told, none is more fascinating than the story of the human energy field. In a few decades, scientists have gone from a conviction that there is no such thing as energy fields in and around the human body to an absolute certainty that they exist. He goes on to describe in detail the discovery of the electromagnetic field that emanates from the human heart. New technology now allows scientists to measure this field as far away from the physical body as 15 feet. And so that brings me here to this book, The Human Aura, Astral Colors and Thought Forms by Swami Panchadasi. And in these upcoming chapters, we're going to learn how to build a strong and positive aura, how to flood it with the right vibration, and also how to protect it from the vibration of other energy fields. Are you interested? You found the right place. Sit back as I turn the page. The Human Aura, Astral Colors and Thought Forms by Swami Panchadasi. Chapter 9, Developing the Aura. When it is remembered that the aura of the individual affects and influences other persons with whom he comes in contact, and is, in fact, an important part of his personality, it will be seen that it is important that the individual take pains to develop his aura in the direction of desirable qualities and to neutralize and weed out undesirable ones. This becomes doubly true when it is also remembered that, according to the law of action and reaction, the auric vibrations react upon the mind of the individual, thus intensifying and adding fuel to the original and mental stage which called them forth. From any point of view, it is seen to be an important part of self-development and character building to develop the aura according to scientific occult principles. In this work of aura development, there is found to be two correlated phases, namely 1, the direct work of flooding the aura with the best vibrations by means of holding in the mind clear, distinct, and repeated mental pictures of desirable ideas and feelings. And 2, the added effect of mental images of the colors corresponding to the ideas and feelings which are deemed desirable and worthy of development. The first of the above-mentioned phases is probably far more familiar to the average student than is the second. This from the fact that the average student is apt to be more or less familiar with the teachings of the numerous schools or cults which agree in the axiom that holding the thought tends to develop the mind of the individual along the particular lines of such thought. This is a correct psychological principle, for that matter, even when those practicing it do not fully understand the underlying facts. Mental faculties like physical muscles tend to develop by exercise and use, and any faculty may be developed and cultivated in this way. Another teaching of these same schools is that the character of the thoughts so held by the individual affects other persons with whom he comes in contact and, in a way, attracts to him objective things, persons, and circumstances in harmony with such thoughts. This also is in accordance with the best occult teaching, from which, of course, it was originally derived. I heartily endorse the facts of these teachings and pronounce them fundamentally correct. And in this connection, I may say that every healer may apply his own methods plus this teaching regarding the aura and thus obtain greatly increased results. By the faithful, persevering, holding in mind of certain ideas and feelings, The individual may flood his aura with the vibrations and colors of such ideas and feelings, and thus charge it with auric energy and power. By so doing, he gains the benefit of the reaction upon his own mind, and also secures the advantage of the effect thereof upon other persons with whom he comes in contact. In this way, he not only builds up his individual character along desirable lines, but at the same time develops a strong, positive, attractive personality which affects others with whom he comes in contact. I do not consider it necessary to go into details here regarding the phase of holding the thought, for, as I have said, the average student is already familiar with the rules regarding the same. In a nutshell, however, I will say that each individual is largely the result of the thoughts he has manifested and the feelings which he has harbored. Therefore, the rule is to manifest and exercise the faculties you would develop and inhibit or refrain from manifesting the ones you would restrain or control. Again, to restrain an undesirable faculty, develop and exercise its opposite. Kill out the negatives by developing the positives. The mind produces thought, and yet it tends to grow from the particular portion of its own product which you may choose to feed to it, for it not only creates thought, but also feeds upon it. So finally, let it produce the best kind of thought for you, and then throw that back into the hopper, for it will use it to grind out more of the same kind and grow strong in so doing. That is the whole thing in a nutshell. The second phase of aura development, as above classified, however, is not likely to be familiar to the average student, for the reason that it is not known outside of advanced occult circles, and very little has been allowed to be taught regarding it. But the very reticence regarding it is proof of its importance, and I strongly advise my students to give it the attention and practice that its importance merits. The practice thereof, however, is extremely simple, and the principle of the practice, moreover, is based solely upon the facts of the relation of color and mental states, as shown in the astral auric colors, as fully explained in the preceding chapters of this book. In order to intelligently practice the development of the aura by means of flooding or charging it with the vibrations of psychic colors, it is first necessary that the student be thoroughly familiar with the scale of colors related to each set of mental states or emotional feelings. This scale and its key is found in a number of places in the preceding chapters. The student should turn back the pages of this book and then carefully reread and restudy every word which has been said about the relation of mental states and auric colors. He should know the mental correspondence of the shades of red, yellow, and blue so thoroughly that the thought of one will bring the idea of the other. He should be able to think of the corresponding group of colors the moment he thinks of any particular mental state. He should be thoroughly familiar with the physical, mental, and spiritual effect of any of the colors, and should moreover test himself physically for the individual effects of certain colors upon himself. He should enter into this study with interest and earnestness, and then by keeping his eyes and ears open, he will perceive interesting facts concerning the subject on every side in his daily work and life. He will perceive many proofs of the principle, and he will soon amass a stock of experiences illustrating each color and its corresponding mental state. He will be richly repaid for the work of such study, which in fact will soon grow to be more like pleasure than like work. Having mastered this phase of the subject, the student should give himself a thorough, honest self-examination and mental analysis. He should write down a chart of his strong points and his weak ones. He should check off the traits which should be developed and those which should be restrained. He should determine whether he needs development along physical, mental, and spiritual lines, and in what degree. Having made this chart of himself, he should then apply the principles of charging the aura with the color vibrations indicated by his self-diagnosis and prescription. The last stage is quite simple. Once one has acquired the general idea back of it, it consists simply in forming as clear a mental image as possible of the color or colors desired, and then projecting the vibrations into the aura by the simple effort of the will. This does not mean that one needs to clench the fist or frown the brow in willing. Willing, in the occult sense, may be said to consist of a command, leaving the rest to the mechanism of the will and mind. Take away the obstacle of doubt and fear. Then the royal command performs the work of setting the will into operation. This, by the way, is an important occult secret of wide application. Try to master its all-important significance. The mental imaging of colors may be materially aided by concentration upon physical material of the right color. By concentrating the attention and vision upon a red flower, for instance, or upon a bit of green leaf in another instance, one may be able to form a clear, positive mental image of that particular color. This, accompanied by the willing and demand that the vibrations of this color shall charge the aura, will be found to accomplish the result. Have something around you showing you the desirable colors, and your attention will almost instinctively take up the impression thereof, even though you may be thinking of or doing something else. Live as much as possible in the idea and presence of the desirable color, and you will get the habit of setting up the mental image and vibration thereof. A little practice and experience will soon give you the idea and enable you to get the best results. Patience, perseverance, and sustained earnest interest, that is the key of success. End of chapter. Chapter 10, The Protective Aura. Among the very oldest of the teachings of occultism, we find instructions regarding the building up and maintenance of the protective aura of the individual, whereby he renders himself immune to undesirable physical, mental, psychic, or spiritual influences. So important is this teaching that it is to be regretted that there has not been more said on the subject by some of the writers of recent years. The trouble with many of these recent writers is that they seem to wish to close their eyes to the unpleasant facts of life and to gaze only upon the pleasant ones. But this is a mistake, for ignorance has never been a virtue, and to shut one's eyes to unpleasant facts does not always result in destroying them. I consider any teaching unfinished and inadequate which does not include instruction along protective lines. Physical auric protection consists in charging the aura with vital magnetism and color, which will tend to ward off not only the physical contagion of ill persons, but what is often still more important, the contagion of their mind and feelings. The student who has really studied the preceding chapters will at once realize that this protection is afforded by filling the aura with the vibrations of health and physical strength by means of the mental imaging of the life-preserving reds and the exercise of the mind in the direction of thought of strength and power. These two things will tend to greatly increase the resistive aura of anyone and enable him to throw off disease influences which affect others. The aura of the successful physician and healer in the presence of disease will invariably show the presence of the bright, positive red in the aura, accompanied by the mental vibrations of strength, power, and confidence in the absence of fear. This, in connection with the auric circle, which shall be described presently, will be of great value to healers, physicians, nurses, etc., as well as to those who are brought into intimate contact with sick persons. Of practically the same degree of importance is the charging of the aura with the vibrations of mental protection, viz., the vibrations of orange, yellow, and similar colors. These are the colors of intellect, you will remember, and when the aura is charged and flooded with them, it acts as a protection against the efforts of others to convince one against his will, by sophistical arguments, plausible reasoning, fallacious illustrations, etc. It gives to one a sort of mental illumination, quickening the perceptive faculties and brightening up the reasoning and judging powers, and finally giving a sharp edge to the powers of repartee and answer. If you will assume the right positive mental attitude and will flood your aura with the vibrations of the mental orange-yellow, the mental efforts of the other persons will rebound from your aura, or, to use another figure of speech, will slip away from it like water from the back of the proverbial duck. It is well to carry the mental image of your head being surrounded by a golden aura or halo at such times. This will be found especially efficacious as a protective helmet when you are assaulted by the intellect or arguments of others. And again, there is a third form of protective aura, namely protection of one's emotional nature, and this is highly important when one remembers how frequently we are moved to action by our emotions rather than by our intellect or reason. To guard one's emotions is to guard one's very inmost soul, so to speak. If we can protect our feeling and emotional side, we will be able to use our reasoning powers and intellect far more effectively, as all know by experience. What color should we use in this form of auric protection? Can anyone be in doubt here? If he has read the preceding chapters, what is the emotional protective color? Why, blue, of course. Blue controls this part of the mind or soul, and by raising ourselves into the vibrations of positive blue, we leave behind as the lower emotions and feelings and are transported into the higher realms of the soul, where these low vibrations and influences cannot follow us. In the same way, the blue-colored aura will act as an armor to protect us from the contagion of low passions and feelings of others. If you are subjected to evil influences or contagion of those harboring low emotions and desires, you will do well to acquire the art of flooding your aura with the positive blue tints. Make a study of bright, clear blues, and you will instinctively select the one best suited for your needs. Nature gives us this instinctive knowledge, if we will but seek for it, and then apply it when found. The aura of great moral teachers, great priests and preachers, advanced occultists, in fact, all men of lofty ideals working among those lower on the moral scale, are always found to be charged with a beautiful, clear blue, which acts as a protection to them when they are unduly exposed to moral or emotional contagion. Ignorance of the occult laws have caused the downfall of many a great moral teacher who could have protected himself in this way in times of strong attack of low vibrations had he but known the truth. The individual who knows this law and who applies it is rendered absolutely immune from evil contagion on the emotional plane of being. The Great Auric Circle. But no occult instruction on this subject would be complete without a reference to the Great Auric Circle of Protection, which is a shelter to the soul, mind, and body against outside psychic influences directed consciously or unconsciously against the individual. In these days of widespread, though imperfect, knowledge of psychic phenomena, it is especially important that one should be informed as to this great shield of protection. Omitting all reference to the philosophy underlying it, it may be said that this auric circle is formed by making the mental image accompanied by the demand of will of the aura being surrounded by a great band of pure, clear, white light. A little perseverance will enable you to create this on the astral plane, and though, unless you have the astral vision, you cannot see it actually, yet you will actually feel its protective presence, so that you will know that it is there guarding you. This white auric circle will be an effective and infallible armor against all forms of psychic attack or influence, no matter from whom it may emanate or whether directed consciously or unconsciously. It is a perfect and absolute protection, and the knowledge of its protective power should be sufficient to drive fear from the heart of all who have dreaded psychic influence, malicious animal magnetism so-called, or anything else of the kind, by whatever name known. It is also a protection against psychic vampirism or draining of magnetic strength. The auric circle is, of course, really egg-shaped or oval, for it fringes the aura as the shell cases the egg. See yourself mentally as surrounded by this great white auric circle of protection, and let the idea sink into your consciousness. Realize its power over the influences from outside, and rejoice in the immunity it gives you. The auric circle, however, will admit any outside impressions that you really desire to come to you, while shutting out the others. That is, with this exception, that if your inner soul recognizes that some of these desired influences and impressions are apt to harm you, though your reason and feeling know it not, then will such impression be denied admittance. For the white light is the radiation of spirit, which is higher than ordinary mind, emotion, or body, and is master of all. And its power, even though we can but imperfectly represent it even mentally, is such that before its energy and in its presence in the aura, all lower vibrations are neutralized and disintegrated. The highest and deepest occult teaching is that the white light must never be used for purpose of attack or personal gain, but that it may properly be used by anyone at any time to protect against outside psychic influence against which the soul may protest. It is the armor of the soul, and may well be employed whenever or wherever the need arises. Throughout the pages of this little book have been scattered crumbs of teaching other than those concerning the aura alone. Those for whom these are intended will recognize and appropriate them. The others will not see them and will pass them by. One attracts his own to him. Much seed must fall on waste places in order that here and there a grain will find lodgment in rich soil awaiting its coming. True occult knowledge is practical power and strength. Beware of prostituting the higher teachings for selfish ends and ignoble purposes. To guard and preserve your own will is right. To seek to impose your will upon that of another is wrong. Passive resistance is often the strongest form of resistance. This is quite different from non-resistance. End of chapter. And also, this is the conclusion and end of the reading of the book titled The Human Aura, Astral Colors and Thought Forms by Swami Panchadasi. I thank you for joining me on this journey. Please do hit that like button. Let me know you were here. Tell me, what was your best chapter, your favorite chapter? Have you seen an aura? What do you think about the aura topic in general? And if you want more of this kind of stuff, well, stick around here. Subscribe.